Hey y'all, welcome back to Lit by Lily. Today I'll be bringing you my recipe for oven-baked chicken topped with shrimp and broccoli. If you're on a real health kick, this dish would make a perfect Sunday dinner one night. I have about 4 chicken thighs, they're about 4 ounces each. I have about 10 jumbo shrimp, which are peeled and deveined. I will be using kosher salt and chicken better than bouillon. However, I suggest that if you are on a really low sodium diet, use Mrs. Dash. I'll also be using black pepper, paprika, onion powder, parsley, and of course, we're going to have some garlic. Because of the amazing benefits in fresh broccoli, I'll be using fresh broccoli. I'll also be using peppers, red, yellow, green, and orange, and an onion, and some avocado oil. Did I go too fast? Well, the ingredients will be in the description box. Now, when it comes to the peppers, I will only be using half of each color. I wash my vegetables before and after I cut them. Please don't come for me for the flour that is on my hands. I promise I'm not ashy. I really do enjoy combining these 4 peppers together. The flavor is absolutely amazing and you can't beat the vitamins that are in it. Please be sure to remove all the seeds out of the peppers. Now, I do understand that chopping up fresh vegetables may not be in the schedule for everyone. So if you're trying to keep it real quick, go to your local supermarket, get the fresh ones that are already chopped up somewhere in the produce section, or go over to the freezer section and grab the bag of tri-colored pepper frozen blend mix. I'll be cutting my broccoli down into florets. Also, I will not be boiling the broccoli. Boiling broccoli removes majority of the nutrients. However, I will be blanching the broccoli. After I blanch it, you'll see what I do with it to incorporate it to where it still has a nice tender vibe to it. Just a quick tip, cut your onion in half and soak it in ice water for a few minutes before you cut it. This will reduce your chances of turning into a crybaby. Next, I'll be cutting my peppers up to about 1/4 inch slices. I'll be cutting my onion up about the same, maybe a little bit thinner than the peppers. I'll be mixing about 2 teaspoons of better than bouillon with about 1/3 cup of water. Next, I'll be adding the mixture to the bottom of a 9-inch square baking dish. But wait a minute. I did not pour the whole thing in there. I poured about half in because I'm going to go back over the top with it. Now, this would be the part where I normally season the chicken in the bowl. However, I got beside myself. So what I'm going to do is add the chicken to the pan, and then I'm going to season the chicken while it's in the pan, and I'm going to be flipping it front to back and adding the seasoning on both sides. The seasonings were listed in the beginning of the video. However, if you want to know exactly what I put on each chicken thigh, then check the description box. And when I say season the chicken, I mean season the chicken. Now you can't tell me that don't look like Christmas. Now I'm gonna load this pan down with all those veggies. Minus the broccoli, just the peppers, okay? Now remember that chicken-based water I told you to hold on to? It's time to use it. Now I'll be covering this dish with aluminum foil. I will be baking it in the middle of the oven at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. Once I pop this in the oven, after about 10 minutes, the aroma through the house was something crazy. Now I'm going to show you how I blanch my broccoli. I'll be taking this pot and I'll be filling it all the way up with water. Grab a colander if you have one, because you're going to need it. While I was waiting for the water to rise in temperature, I grabbed a bowl and I filled it halfway up with ice. I wanted to get the water just before it starts to really boil. I dropped the broccoli down into the water inside of the colander. I didn't leave the broccoli in longer than 2 minutes because remember, the whole point of this is to keep the vitamins and the nutrients. After about 2 minutes, I pulled the colander up and I allowed it to drain back over into the pot. I dumped the broccoli over into a bowl that's smaller than the bowl that the ice bath has in it, and I sat the bowl into the ice bath. Now I wanted to use some of the chicken juice to create a gravy. Now you can completely eliminate this part. However, I chose to make a gravy. Now in order to do this, I got a separate small pot and I poured the juices from the chicken into the pot. If you're unsure whether or not your chicken is done, use a kitchen thermometer. Your chicken should be 165 degrees for 15 seconds internally. I added the cornstarch to the small pot to thicken the chicken juice. When you do this, please be ready to stir immediately because if you don't, the sauce will get really, really thick. I suggest using a whisk. However, I cannot find any of the 5 whisks that I own. Like I said in the previous video, I do believe that they got up and walked away. I will be using avocado oil and a cast iron skillet to prepare everything else. But if you have vegetable oil, feel free to use that. Avocado oil is healthier though. I will be seasoning my shrimp in the bowl. I'll be using kosher salt, garlic, black pepper, paprika, and parsley. And a little bit of onion powder. I added about 3 tablespoons of avocado oil to the skillet and I turned the skillet on to about medium to medium high. Now I'm showing you the consistency of the gravy. I'm still stirring it a little bit, just here and there, but it's done. The very second that I saw the smoke coming from the skillet, I knew it was time to drop the shrimp. Keep in mind, shrimp, it does not take long to cook and it's so easy to overcook. You should not cook shrimp longer than 4 minutes, 2 minutes each side. I lay them flat side by side so that each one of them can get a nice sear. I do not suggest stacking them on top of each other. Be sure to turn them over after about 2 minutes. After about the first flip, I took some of that gravy that I made earlier and poured it over into the skillet. After about a total of 4 minutes of cook time, I started pulling them from the heat. It is so easy to overcook shrimp. You can literally blink and they'll be done. I wanted to add a little bit of that crispiness to the chicken. So once the shrimp was pulled, I added my chicken thighs to the skillet and, gave them a little bit of color on each side. And to assist with that, I added some of the gravy that I made earlier. So as you can see, I'm just tossing it around back and forth, getting some of that shrimp and chicken mixture in there. Let me tell you, it added so much flavor to the chicken and the juiciness of it. It was crazy. Now to finish things off, I added in the broccoli, then I threw in the peppers just to, for presentation purposes as well, make it a nice, beautiful layout. Now, I did not leave this skillet on the stove longer than 45 seconds to a minute when adding all the ingredients together. This is just me putting everything together, for presentation purposes. But everything's already cooked at this point. So we're just getting our layout, together. Because one thing I do firmly believe in is that people eat with their eyes first. Oh my goodness. Do you all see this? I cannot begin to tell y'all. You have to trust me and trust this process. This was banging. It was so good. And think about all the benefits that come with it. It's just amazing. I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this. And also, if you really enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe so we can cook together.